always something with these shows, isn't it, Anthony? Turn out all the lights. It's always something. Turn all my lights in my office.
Man.
Let me hit my light.
Got me staying up trying to talk with David Cummins and.
Oh, have you been talking to him?
The delay to come over here all late to take out trash and stuff, man.
Who?
I was here maybe half an hour before you, not even half an hour
When?
before you emailed me your article, your blog. I was here this morning.
I thought it was mighty fresh in here. Let me see these numbers.
Well, yeah. Be all right.
You've already started this? Why is the live stream going?
Why can't it go?
Page.
Clarence Page.
Yeah, Armstrong.
I'm always so flattered that we find a way to get you in the lineup. Man, I love having you on.
Thank you. Glad to be with you.
I just want to know that you were there. I'm going to call you back in 2 minutes. I just want to make sure you were there.
I'm here waiting for you.
You can hold on if you like and finish doing what you're doing.
So that's okay. You can give me a call back.
Okay, 2 minutes. All right.
Okay.
Bye-bye. So, it's always something. Shows that...
How do you think I feel?
Well, you know, when you hurt, I hurt. Don't you know that?
Yeah, okay.
Did you see your mom?
No, she didn't get to make it.
Tell you something, Shirley, today I could have hollered. Just hollered. Just telling you, okay. So that stopped working, right? Anthony, what's the update on the website? Any more people? Anybody else see anything?
I'm not telling you nothing.
I have to know so I can check in with these people, Bob Cusack, because I email them every day.
Yeah, all those people. I'll let you know about all those people. But I'm trying to make sure that everything, because there's a lot of things messed up on the back end of that site.
You figured out. That's why you Anthony Carr.
A lot of people linking. Did you cut your head or something?
Where?
The back of your head?
I missed the spot.
No, did you cut your head or something?
Where?
Till 4? Yeah, you cut your head.
Where?
Right on the top of your head.
I didn't cut my hair. No way.
Or something on your head?
Look at you. Try to get it off, man. What's wrong with you? What is it? Oh, wow, yeah. It's this stuff. That's what it is. You know what it is. I hate that stuff.
You did it.
You knew it was no cut anyhow. So you look tired.
I'm ready to go to sleep now. You're lucky I made it.
Made it where?
I woke up. Made it here.
All I had to do is just hit ground zero and just go.
First show you wouldn't have been able to because that thing ended up shutting off. I don't know what happened.
It kept clicking all day and clicking all day.
So what did you do? Unplug it or something?
No, I didn't do anything. I didn't touch
It
it.
shut off and shut everything off and you'd been done deal.
Oh, no. You just put in a tape. You have to send in a show. The tape show today would have worked. Let me tell you something.
You're always trying to put in a show.
Let me tell you something. I don't worry about these things, okay? You're not going to find me stressed out all over this.
I do.
I'm not.
Oh, you want to hit it?
Hit what?
You want to hit the button?
Hit play?
When it's time, man.
Oh, okay. Just hit the green one now.
Right on time.
5:59?
No.
Now? Everyone, this is Armstrong Williams on the right side.
Armstrong.
Don't curse, speak English.
Armstrong.
Virtuous society.
Armstrong.
I dare you to listen.
Hey, turn it up. Hey. Armstrong. Get on the right side. Armstrong.
State your mind.
Armstrong,
I'm Armstrong Williams on the right side.
Yo, man, it's your boy KO. And you're tuned in to the most conservative of our brothers.
Armstrong,
The Armstrong Williams Show. Please give me a break. Grow up. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this edition of the Armstrong Williams Show. Thank you so much for joining us. You know, I am so honored to have Clarence Page as our guest today from the Chicago Tribune, regular on national and international television, one of the most prolific writers in this country, Pulitzer Prize-winning author, and to me, one of the most fair and balanced and most consistent people in the business. Clarence Page, welcome to the broadcast.
Thank you, Armstrong. The feeling is mutual, my friend.
You're too kind. You're too kind. You know,
Well deserved. Well deserved.
I just saw on the ticker that 1 in 3 Americans would like, and this is from CNN, would like for the Supreme Court to overturn Obamacare.
Yeah, I saw that.
Does that shock you?
Not really, because most people don't know what Obamacare is. If you ask the average person on the street, they really, most of them don't know. It hasn't started yet. I mean, well, only some parts of it. Like,
Well, maybe they don't want it to start, Clarence. That's the whole idea of why they want it overturned.
well, because they don't know what it's about. You know, I mean, it's already helped my family because my son is 23 years old, and for a while there he was not in college, and thus got dropped from my insurance plan. And now that with Obamacare, he would be covered. He is back in college now, full time, fortunately. But during that time when he was only a part timer, you know, he was dropped from coverage. Now, young people like him are covered to age 26. That hits a lot of families, and it's helping a lot of people who want to get an education. I mean, there are a lot of different aspects of it, and it's only begun. It doesn't really fully kick in until 2014. But what do you find that's so bad about it?
You know what? Well, then, are you saying that people are just uneducated about it?
Yeah, that's right.
And you actually think
I mean, that's no sin. The fact is that the administration hasn't done that much of a big job of informing people. So when that happens, all they hear is the critics who say, "Oh, this is going to run your life. It's a big imposition on your life," and nobody likes to hear that.
what about the escalating costs?
Well, costs are already escalating, right?
But we were told they would not. In fact, the prices
Aren't costs already escalating?
Of course they are.
Well, the administration never promised that costs would stop escalating. They said they were going to slow the escalation over the next 10 years.
Okay, the Obamacare plan, Clarence, is based on a drastically increasing degree of government control over medical practice, okay, and medical financing decisions that should be made by patients, doctors, and in my opinion, insurers in a free market. And so by depriving individuals of this freedom, the plan destroys any possible redeeming qualities. And let me just give you an example.
No, people will still have it.
Let me just tell you, suppose it were scientifically proven that eating carrots were good for you. Then the government decided to require that everyone eat 3 carrots a day. Doesn't that bother you in terms of...
That's not happening, though. People will still be able to choose their own doctors just like they do now. It's not going to affect my health care plan, for example, at all. But it will affect those people who don't have coverage will be able to have coverage now, and that's a big difference. There's something like over 30 million or 40 million, depending on what figure you believe, that don't have any coverage at all right now.
So you're telling us,
will be covered.
So such a law you don't think would restrict our freedom to act on our own rational judgment, which is our basic means of survival, a government which tramples, let's say, on our basic freedoms in order to achieve, I'll call it a derivative value, such as guaranteed health care, destroys the source of all such values, because namely the rational mind is capable of acting on its own independent judgment. As Benjamin Franklin once said, Clarence, they who would give up an essential liberty for temporary health security deserve neither liberty or security. And on Obamacare, we'll end up with neither.
You don't like Medicare either, I guess.
That's a problem. It is a problem. And I'm not, listen, it's not a fact that it's
Medicare's
Obamacare. Look, it's
I mean, be specific now. Come on, it's your radio show. Go ahead.
No. The problem is
Medicare.
Excuse me, but listen, you cannot support it. You can't sustain it. You've got to do something about the cost. You've got to get it under control.
So Medicare is okay with you. You just want to make sure we cover the cost.
Look, Medicare is always a good thing. It is of good. It's of a good value.
Why then don't you object to that as a violation of your freedom, and you do object to Obamacare?
Listen, let me just say this to you, and I understand where you're going on this. I remember.
Good. I want to hear where you're going.
Okay, I remember during the 2009 healthcare debate, some conservatives like Sarah Palin claimed that the government and talked about death panels would decide which patients would live under Obamacare. I know that's far-fetched. My point is that much of the discussion, the current discussion of Obamacare, centers on new regulations over the healthcare insurance industry, as well as the highly controversial individual mandate. It required individuals to purchase health insurance, but for doctors, one of the most important and let's say less recognized aspects of Obamacare is that the government would gradually start imposing controls on how doctors can practice.
But doctors favor the new Obamacare plan.
I have not spoken to one doctor that favors it. I must tell you.
You need to get out more, Armstrong.
Help me get out more. I'd love to get him on the show. I don't talk. They understand that it's noble and what he's trying to do, but they feel in the end they do not support it. And let me finish.
Well, I did let you finish, but the fact is that
no. I'm not trying to argue with you, Clarence.
All, you mentioned the insurance industry. It's important to point out that the insurance industry helped to design this program. In fact, they're the ones who are asking for the mandates that will force everybody to participate or else pay a penalty because, well, with the exception of those who can't afford it, they're going to get generous subsidies, so they will get coverage. But the insurance industry wanted that so they can cover people with pre-existing conditions. Without that, people who don't want to pay for insurance will just wait until they get sick, and then they'll try to get an insurance plan and basically freeload on the system. But the insurance industry helped to work this out. That's
part of the problem.
Big fight at the Supreme Court.
But that's part of the problem. But look, Clarence, I want you to know.
Too, but my personal view is I prefer a single payer system like Medicare. I see that would. In fact, I really prefer a single payer system like Canada. That would eliminate the need to have the health insurance companies in it. But I know that's not going to be a reality.
But let me ask you: do you have an issue?
I want to work out a system that's going to get people covered. That's the main thing.
Let me just say this, and I'm not trying to defend. I'm just pointing out to me issues that needs to be worked out. I mean, physicians will be increasingly subject to various governments. I mean, this comparative effectiveness. I mean, practice guidelines that will specify what sorts of procedures and tests they should or should not perform, and what sorts of medication they can and cannot prescribe. You don't have a problem with that?
Well, that's what we already have with the insurance companies. They're the ones who dictate those procedures, not the government.
But then the insurance companies should have never been at the table. Because they're going to only look after their own interests.
I don't understand why would they not be there when they're the ones who are controlling the healthcare financing industry right now. Well, how can you not have them at the table?
Because they're only protecting their agenda at the expense of most people in this country.
So you don't like the insurance companies?
Not all the time.
Not all the time.
Not all the time.
Nobody likes anything all the time, right?
All the time. No. No.
Look, we got a problem in this country. You're right. We got a problem with escalating costs and declining coverage. That's before Obamacare. And I'm talking about I don't know what your coverage is like, but I know what mine is because I've been with the Chicago Tribune for for over 30 years, and I've seen our coverage go down, 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 and we've switched from company to company, and so we're not different from other major corporations. Our coverage is going down while our costs, while the fees I pay, our premiums I pay are going up, and this is happening all around, and that's not sustainable either. We need to have a system. We're the only industrial country that has this kind of a hodgepodge because we started it after World War II during a time of government cost controls, in fact, when companies began to give insurance coverage as a benefit to attract more workers. But it grew as a hodgepodge over all these years. Medicare did something to put some stability into the system, but Lyndon Johnson tried to get a system that would cover everybody through, but wasn't able to do it politically. did cover the seniors anyway. But I think it's about time we tried to do something, like you say, to deal with these problems in a holistic way. But politics keeps confusing.
Yes,
the thing,
it does.
People hear all these horror stories because, and I mean, what really gets me, Armstrong, is a lot of Republicans who supported things like mandates, like Newt Gingrich and various others, who supported mandates when they were being proposed by Republicans, now oppose them because they're being proposed by Barack Obama.
That's why you call them politicians.
About politics.
How do you address this? And I'm only trying to deal with its concerns. I'm not trying to be political. I just want to, because I understand why some Americans are afraid of this. I mean, and let's just talk about the 87 million Americans, Clarence, that could lose access to the current health care plan under the new law. I mean, let me give you an example, because I know. Let me explain it. Workers, and I'm speaking as a businessman now. Workers at a majority of the nation's employers, including as many as 4 out of every 5 small businesses, Clarence, would lose their current coverage, thus providing further evidence that this Obamacare is doing exactly the opposite of what Democrats promised it would do.
How would they lose it?
Clarence, they will lose it.
How would they lose it, Armstrong?
I knew I was coming. The reason why I didn't answer, they're coming.
I've talked to business people who were already having.
Well, I'm up on a break. I'm gonna come back to you. I'm coming back to you. I didn't want the computer would cut us off. It's generated by the computer. Clarence Page is our guest. We're talking about Obamacare and much more. We'll be back.
For more information on the Armstrong Williams Show, please visit our new website at www.rightsidewire.com. There you can find his syndicated column archive, view live streams, and get your favorite conservative pundits' views on the current issues affecting the American people. From building wealth to foreign policy, stay connected with Armstrong Williams and his colleagues at the all-new www.rightsidewire.com.
Anderson Brothers Bank, a family-owned and operated establishment that blends traditional personal service, local market awareness, and advanced technology to meet the financial needs of its customers. Visit abbank.com or call 843-464-6271 to see how they can assist you with your banking needs. Anderson Brothers Bank, celebrating 75 years of community banking, the way it should be. Stability right in your backyard since 1933.
Hello, my name is Ron Moulton. I'm running as a Republican for the City Council in the nation's capital, a political arena dominated by the Democratic Party. I'm seeking office in Ward 7, overwhelmed by unemployment and poverty. For the first time in decades, we have an opportunity to be elected as the people that need the representation the most are now responding to the principles that will uplift them. For more information about my values and to donate, please visit www.ronmoulton.com.
Most Americans simply have never been taught the basics of money management, let alone how to secure their financial future. But there is hope. Financial Education and Literacy Advisors, also known as FELA, does what others don't. FELA teaches financial education. If you'd like more information about providing a financial wellness program for your employees, or a credit-bearing college course in personal finance, or other valuable programs, please visit myfela.com. That's myfela.com, or send an email to info@myfela.com.
Hi, this is Armstrong Williams with an opportunity to own a piece of paradise in Nassau, Bahamas. Spectacular land prices, 8,000 square feet, 20,000 square feet lot, affordable prices, hilltop properties with views of the magnificent sea. Just call 242-677-3120 or 3121 or go to info@rightsidewire.com and leave your information.
Where heads of state, sports, entertainment, and political celebrities meet. You're listening to Armstrong Williams.
I'm going to make a final comment on the Obamacare, and then I'm going to let our distinguished guest, Clarence Page, make his, and then we're going to move on to another topic. You see, in my opinion, the president's health care plan, at best, is not reform at all. And he should be applauded for trying. I will give him that, because it's a noble idea and nobody should be denied access. And at worst, I think this is going to expand the poorest performing segments of our healthcare systems and further erode what little choice currently exists at the individual patient and provider level. And even this universal health care coverage, according to the president's plan, would be largely driven by enrollment in public programs such as Medicaid and SHIP, in which the government sets benefit levels and provide reimbursement rates. Being nominally covered in a public health insurance program is of little value. I mean, if prohibitively low reimbursement rates and administrative hassles prevent physicians from accepting you as a patient in the end. And although the patient is the central figure, which we forget about sometimes in this process, and the key decision maker in the healthcare system, the president's plan unfortunately appears to continue the paternalistic view that government, not the individual patient, should decide the value of healthcare services, and individual patients, regardless of income level, in my opinion, are capable of making appropriate decisions about their own health care, given the proper incentives, and giving patients ownership of their health care resources and choices over how these resources will be spent will also increase the demand for transparency, which I'm concerned about the cost and quality of services. Clarence?
Well, most of that is really legitimate horror stories. They're not really. They don't really relate to the program that actually exists. And I just ask your listeners, look at your own health insurance coverage right now, and if you're satisfied with it, fine. It's not going to change under so-called Obamacare, under the Affordability Act. If you don't have coverage, you will have it. And these problems of soaring costs and declining coverage, that's what we're experiencing right now in the private market. Nobody's happy with the current market. A legitimate debate on Capitol Hill is what we've needed. Instead, we've seen fighting. The last few years, the Democrats had to push through Obamacare without Republican votes, pretty much, which is not the best way to pass a program. But the fact is that it is there, and Republicans had ample opportunity to offer alternative programs. As I say, many of their ideas were folded into Obamacare, ideas that Republican leaders now reject because Barack Obama is proposing them. So this is the kind of political mess that's actually gotten in the way of people getting better health care coverage. So let's see what the Supreme Court's going to do now, and then we will proceed on to deal with these problems that you bring up about rising costs with not just with regular health care, but also Medicare and Medicaid, which also have financial problems right now, and both parties have got to deal with that too.
That's true. When you think about what happened on American soil in Fort Hood, North Carolina, with Hassan killing 13 soldiers, wounding 29, and yelling death to the infidels. And yet he seems to get an insanity plea. It's been 2 years. The trial has not even been held. And yet when this happened, you did not hear anyone from Hezbollah or the Taliban, and even from many of these Muslim countries, saying how awful this is. They condemn it. They don't support this in any sense. And yet we have this American that has been tried on 18 charges. They want to rush and execute him. I'm just wondering if America has gone mad at this double standard, Clarence.
What kind of double standard?
How do you find the guilt in the American soldier, but you find the innocence in Hassan, who killed 13 soldiers and wounded 29?
Guilt with the American soldier
in Afghanistan.
Afghanistan,
yes,
but not guilt with Hassan.
No, because he's using the insanity plea, and they just want to rush them. Look, I'm not trying to excuse.
He is locked up, right?
But there's been no hearing,
he is
no
locked
trial.
Up, right? Okay. Do you expect him to stay locked up?
All I'm saying, Clarence, is a double standard. Listen, I think that the soldier should be punished for the killing.
Military justice. I'm an Army veteran, and
you think he should be executed?
Advocate General's office. Well, that's not for me to decide.
That's true. That's fair enough.
That's for the military system to decide. But he is locked up, and he's going to stay locked up, and that's the main thing that counts.
But what about these consistent tour of duties that these kids and these young people are sent back and forth? Shouldn't you take that into consideration, especially when they display that they're having some kind of mental breakdown, instead of sending them back?
Well, bring them home. That's what I say.
But it's not that simple, and you know it's not.
Oh yeah, it is that simple, and they're in the process of coming home now.
I agree. Bring them home. I see what you're saying. I agree with that.
Right.
What about? Have you read the latest that DSK was charged in alleged prostitution ring?
No, I saw the headline, but I didn't read the story.
Yeah, former international Monetary Fund chief Dominique Strauss was charged in France for Clarence today with aggravated pimping for his alleged participation in a prostitution ring. He's not allowed to have contact with other people involved in the investigation, nor is he permitted to talk to the media about the case. An alleged prostitution ring.
Well, I guess that pretty much takes care of any chance he has for a political comeback.
I think somebody wants to make sure he doesn't have a political comeback.
Well, it sounds like he's the one that did it.
Yeah. Clarence Page.
I made sure of it.
Clarence Page is our guest. What are your thoughts? Have you ever seen anything like the GOP race for the nomination? Have you seen anything like this?
I can't find anybody who has. I think this is one of those peculiar things. I predicted, maybe on one of your earlier shows, that we were going to see some disarray on the Republican side because the party has had a leadership problem since at least 2006. But I wasn't expecting anything like this. I did know that the party's divided between the establishment Republicans and the Tea Party, shall we say, the right wing, the hardcore conservatives, versus the more corporate or traditional Republican mainstream. And Mitt Romney was their candidate all along, and he even now has many more delegates than any of the rest of them do. But Rick Santorum, who's become the champion of the more conservative wing of the party, he is still going rather strong, and we don't see Newt Gingrich or Ron Paul dropping out very soon, if ever. So. Part of the problem, I think, for Gingrich and Paul especially, is that they now have more of an independent base, independent from the mainstream party, thanks to their clever use of the media and social media, et cetera. They've been able to build their own independent bases, which are minority wings of the party, but enough for them to get some delegates and possibly be players at the Republican convention. So that's a headache for Mitt Romney, because it means he's got to stay out there longer in order to build up enough delegates to clinch the nomination, which I still think he's going to do if he doesn't put his foot in his mouth too much.
How wounded will he be, though?
Yeah, that's the issue. We don't really know. Back 4 years ago, we saw Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama, had a long drawn out primary fight. But they both improved as candidates as the fight went on. They both got better. I don't see where this is helping Mitt Romney. It's just giving him more opportunities either for him or for his campaign to make gaffes, various embarrassing mistakes like this latest thing with the what do you call it? Etch-a-Sketch, this latest Etch-a-Sketch gaffe and stuff like that, which should be distractions, but they've kind of become stumbling blocks.
But here's the question. It seems so personal with these GOP candidates when it comes to Mitt Romney. I remember when he ran against John McCain, none of the candidates like Mitt Romney. And now, when you can hear the kinds of things that Nick Gingrich said early on, I'm going to stay in the race to make sure that Romney doesn't get the nomination. And then Rick Santorum says, if I'm not the nominee, that you should keep what you have in the White House. And then he said that Mitt Romney would be the worst GOP nominee ever.
Right.
It's personal.
Yeah, and I think Santorum may be sorry he said that in that way, because he really snapped and cursed at a New York Times reporter who brought it up yesterday or today. That's the kind of thing that it's not good for Republicans to fight other Republicans. Ronald Reagan had his 11th commandment, thou shalt not attack a fellow Republican. And Gingrich in particular has violated that right and left. But I think Newt Gingrich and Ron Paul both are basically in business. They've turned this into a way to promote themselves.
Now, wait a minute, Clarence. They're all in a business. It's a business for all of them. Come on, man.
Well, the ones who want to win, though, are different from those who are just in it for a business. because like Gingrich and Ron Paul, well, especially Gingrich, as far as the way he's been talking, is really alienating a lot of Republicans now, and they're getting very upset with him for dividing the party, and he doesn't seem to care. Because he's still Newt Gingrich. He's going to get out there and get his speaking engagements and sell his T-shirts or whatever, and that's not good for the party. But it's like, no, that's what I mean though when I say people are able to develop their own independent base now, their own customer base, if not a voter base, and that's disrupting politics as we've known it in the past.
Will there be a brokered convention?
I don't think so. Much as I'd love to see it as a journalist, I mean, Armstrong, I got into this business because back when I was in high school, watching the '64 conventions, Republican and Democrat, where they had these fights. The Republican convention, the conservative wing virtually booed Nelson Rockefeller off the stage, and Barry Goldwater won the nomination. Went on to lose the presidency to Lyndon Johnson. But it was the beginning of the conservative revival in the country. It led eventually to Ronald Reagan's nomination in 1980. But we haven't seen. Back then, I wanted to be a reporter and cover those conventions and wear that press badge around my neck and all that. But little did I know that was going to be the last time you really see real business happen on the convention floor. They've turned into infomercials now.
Clarence Page, thank you so much for joining us. It's always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure to be with you, Armstrong. Be well.
All right, you too.
For more information on The Armstrong Williams Show, please visit our new website at www.rightsidewire.com. There you can find his syndicated column archive, view live streams, and get your favorite conservative pundits' views on the current issues affecting the American people. From building wealth to foreign policy, stay connected with Armstrong Williams and his colleagues at the all-new www.rightsidewire.com.
Join the millions of Americans who pursue one of our country's finest traditions, from hunting to sport shooting. Since 1871, the NRA has grown as a service organization involved in all aspects of shooting sports and is a proud defender of the Bill of Rights. Join today to begin taking advantage of exclusive membership offers and discounts, including up to $25,000 in insurance coverage. Contact the NRA today. Call 1-800-672-3888 or visit nra.org.
Elder Chicks is an exciting part of the fastest growing segment of the population. Women in their 70s, 80s, and older who are mastering the art of a senior life. We're no longer unseen and unheard. We're providing role models for each other and the baby boomers who are fast approaching retirement. Join our virtual community. Hit www.elderchicks.com on your computer keyboard.
Most Americans simply have never been taught the basics of money management, let alone how to secure their financial future. But there is hope. Financial Education and Literacy Advisors, also known as FELA, does what others don't. FELA teaches financial education. If you'd like more information about providing a financial wellness program for your employees, or a credit-bearing college course in personal finance, or other valuable programs, please visit myfela.com. That's myfela.com, or send an email to info@myfela.com.
To travelers along the road of life who have fallen asleep at the wheel, to the many who woke up in time to avert disaster and get back on the righteous path. For the ones who crashed and survived and now adhere vigilantly to a virtuous and righteous path. Finally, Armstrong Williams' much-anticipated new book, Reawakening Virtues, gives his insights into these daily challenges and much more. Reawakening Virtues is available in bookstores and at Amazon.com.
Where heads of state, sports, entertainment, and political celebrities meet. You're listening to Armstrong Williams.
Daniel C. Welwer founded the Association of Mature American Citizens, AMAC, in the summer of 2007. As a boy, his first job was delivering newspapers for Newsday, the Long Island, New York newspaper. The third child of five in a family with a moderate income, he learned early that if he wanted something, he had to earn it. Blessed with good teachers from both Catholic and public schools, he learned about honesty, decency, fairness, and what work ethic was all about. Well, Obamacare is finally before the Supreme Court. It seems to be what is on everybody's mind. What are your feelings about this Obamacare, and what should the court decide and why?
Well, thank God the Supreme Court is hearing it. You know, as your listeners know, their health care is at stake. If we have Obamacare be installed 2014, rationing is going to be put in place. So it's very, very, very important. And we're hopeful that the justices will read the Constitution. It's very simple, and hopefully they'll decide that this really has no place under the Commerce Clause, that the federal government can mandate people have to buy something.
Listen, are there any benefits to this Obamacare law?
Yeah, there are. In honesty, now I'll give you an example. Let's just say the coverage for pre-existing conditions. Before Obamacare, 7 states had that provision. Some of the bigger states had that. However, it should have been for all states. So that was a good thing. And if Obamacare is thrown out, now, by the way, the Ryan plan and like the Heritage Foundation's plan and like Gingrich and Romney, they all have that in their own health plans, that we should have coverage for pre-existing conditions. So that's a good thing that we need to have. And the other thing is coverage so that you can shop across state lines, make it competitive. So those are the two good features that we think no matter what happens to Obamacare, now will be put into the present healthcare system.
How much of Obamacare has taken effect, and how much will complete the process in 2013?
Yeah, well, actually, the whole thing will be in place by 2014. That's when a lot of the onerous provisions come into play. But I'd say if you were just rough, 20% of Obamacare is in place now. 80% of it is yet to come. And the big part that's yet to come is the rules and regulations which take effect next year and have to do with what we refer to as rationing, where the Independent Payment Review Board and other boards that the law set up begin to regulate health care, and they begin to have bureaucrats decide what our physicians can do and how they can treat us.
So why do you think 1 out of every 3 Americans are so afraid of this? Is it that they don't understand? It's a lot of fear that's going on with Obamacare. Do you think they've done their homework?
Yeah, we were sold a bill of goods. I mean, when President Obama was running, he was telling everybody how bad our health care system was, and we had 30 million people who weren't insured, and that was terrible, and we had to do it. So what they did, 85%, and we polled our members, but 85%, according to the Gallup poll of all Americans, said they were happy or very happy with their present health care. So for the other 15% who either didn't have coverage or didn't want to buy coverage, we changed the whole system, and that doesn't make sense. You don't throw out the greatest medical care system in the world because it has a couple of improvements that need to be made. And that was the big mistake that Obama, and what he did, he sold the public on, oh, our health care is horrible. His own mother wasn't covered. Hillary brought up a case that somebody wasn't insured, and then you found out the facts, and they were all wrong. His mother was covered, and that's a fact now. You can look it up on the Internet. There's so many misinformation that was put out to the public, and now that as people begin to find out, thank God, Armstrong, for your program, because programs and talk radio like Armstrong Williams, without you guys, the public would never know an inkling of the truth.
You know, we call it Obamacare, but in all due respect, it's the Patient Protection and Affordable Act.
Well, let's take affordable now. I don't mean to pick on you, Armstrong.
Okay, but that's what it's called, though.
I know that you're right, but that's what I mean about we were misled. The president said he was going to cut $2,500 from the average person's medical cost. And you know what? It went up $1,000. So that was a misrepresentation. I felt at the time it was blatant. I felt that he had to know that what he was saying was not true. He was selling a bill of goods, and guess what? The public bought it.
Well, let me raise this with you, with our guest, Daniel C. Weber. Should they not pay attention to the claims that repealing Obamacare would add to the deficit? The CBO reports that, but the entire Obamacare CBO estimates were gamed to start with, as we have very recently reported on this show. In addition, The current claim that the repeal will add to the deficit is accomplished by using a low-ball estimate of the expenditures related to the legislation and then simply giving CBO estimates of related tax increases which exceed those low-ball cost estimates. So deficit reduction, we got to get real. The bottom line is that Obamacare is a massively expensive takeover of our healthcare system.
It's very, very expensive, and the Congressional Budget Office, now that they've had time to sort out some of the implications, now has doubled the cost. It's going to be $1.7 trillion instead of $900 billion, and that's a terrible thing. We don't need to add to the deficit. We're in enough trouble. You know, Armstrong, you and I have talked before, and you know that the national debt, the interest on the national debt alone, the interest every year is $490 billion of interest. That's crazy, and that's a waste. Do you know how many hospitals, schools, bridges, and highways we could build with $490 billion every year? And here we are wasting it on interest because politicians are promising things so they can get elected and take over control. And what are they doing? They're penalizing our whole country. We're going to be in trouble. We're on the edge of a cliff with this debt and the deficit spending.
You know, it is important that individuals own their own insurance. Once consumers actually control the treatment and costs through ownership of their insurance policies, they collectively will apply pressure to get more value for it. And individuals can choose their own coverage and will not have to purchase coverage they don't want or need. Expensive state mandates, coverage will be virtually eliminated, and mandates may increase the cost of care for a typical person by 50%.
The mandate idea doesn't work, and what they're doing is they're taking innovation away from the individual practitioner. You know, many of these doctors are creative, and they're innovative, and if they feel, hey, wait a minute, this drug has an unintended effect. You know, I prescribed it for this reason, but now I found maybe their blood pressure is lower. And so maybe they can prescribe the drug for blood pressure without the side effects that the other drug they have them on. Those kind of innovative things the doctors are restricted against. They've got to fill out forms according to a strict code, and the innovation is taken away from them, and it's hurting our medical care. And Obamacare will make it twice as bad.
But who should make the decisions on treatment and coverage, along with their doctor, of course, and anytime the consumer is paying, even reimbursed by tax credits, there is a downward influence on cost because the provider must keep the individual informed about what and why.
You know, you're absolutely right. There's so many defects. One of the things that Obamacare did is it put a cap on profit of insurance companies. Okay, now that sounds good, right? Well, there's two things. First of all, who owns the insurance companies? Is the public owns 85% of all the insurance companies through 401ks, IRAs, pension plans. There's not some rich billionaire named Blue Cross. You know, that's all the people own those companies. So putting a cap on profit is silly. Then next, what do the companies do with the profits? Just like the drug companies, they reinvest it to have a better, a more efficient system. So to take away the extra money that they're going to use to benefit the system is very foolish. It's going to make our system worse, not better.
Well, and it doesn't take much of a to understand that it's not going to be better. What about the financial transparency and scrutiny if consumers are involved in decisions and payments? And can this scrutiny and the power of public opinion have a moderating effect on costs in the system?
Yeah, you brought up two good points. Of course, when you said the word transparency first, I thought you were referring to when the law was passed. You know, the president, when he was running, said everything was going to be transparent and that the public would have 3 days to read all the bills. When they passed Obamacare, they locked the doors. There was no transparency. And then they gave it to the representatives to pass immediately before any of them had a chance to read it. So, you know, I'm sorry I went off a little on a tangent there, but when you said the word transparency, that's the thing that was evident to me. As far as cost, what we got to, and then the other point you brought up was the information. You know, the IRS will have permission under these rules and regulations to look into your bank accounts so that they can have quality tests on how much money you have spent on medical care. They're going to have access to everybody's money, not directly their money, but they'll be able to go through our banks and withdraw money from our bank accounts to pay for medical procedures. People don't believe me, but it's in Obamacare. Read it. It's right in there. So there's a lot of things. Plus, all of our medical history is going to be computerized. It's going to be shared by all governmental agencies. Now, that's a transparency I don't think we want. So there's so many parts of this bill that are really dangerous, and hopefully the Supreme Court justices, in their wisdom, will realize that.
You know, when we return, we've got to get in on the conversation about tort reform that no one seems to talk about, which looms large here. David C. Weber founded the association.
David's my son.
Daniel C. Weber.
David's my son.
Daniel.
A good plug.
I'm Armstrong Williams, AM 730 WTNT, Sirius XM Power 128. We're streaming live. www.livestream.com/Armstrong Williams.
For more information on the Armstrong Williams Show, please visit our new website at www.rightsidewire.com. There you can find his syndicated column archive, view live streams, and get your favorite conservative pundits' views on the current issues affecting the American people. From building wealth to foreign policy, stay connected with Armstrong Williams and his colleagues at the all-new www.rightsidewire.com.
Does your school, team, church, or charity need a new fundraiser? Do you need to work out of your home or part-time? Are you a small business that can use an additional revenue stream? Then you need Yellow Llama. Do you need affordable web services or tools to enhance your existing business? Are you a graphic artist who wants to create a revenue stream with your art but not get ripped off? Then go to www.yellowllama.com.
Anderson Brothers Bank, a family-owned and operated establishment that blends traditional personal service, local market awareness, and advanced technology to meet the financial needs of its customers. Visit abbank.com or call 843-464-6271 to see how they can assist you with your banking needs. Anderson Brothers Bank, celebrating 75 years of community banking, the way it should be. Stability right in your backyard since 1933.
Most Americans simply have never been taught the basics of money management, let alone how to secure their financial future. But there is hope. Financial Education and Literacy Advisors, also known as FELA, does what others don't. FELA teaches financial education. If you'd like more information about providing a financial wellness program for your employees, or a credit-bearing college course in personal finance, or other valuable programs, please visit myfela.com. That's myfela.com, or send an email to info@myfela.com.
Hi, this is Armstrong Williams with an opportunity to own a piece of paradise in Nassau, Bahamas. Spectacular land prices, 8,000 square feet, 20,000 square feet lot, affordable prices, hilltop properties with views of the magnificent sea. Just call 242-677-3120 or 3121 or go to info@rightsidewire.com and leave your information.
Where heads of state, sports, entertainment, and political celebrities meet. You're listening to Armstrong Williams.
You know, there is no question that eliminating tort reform can save costs in this health insurance debate. There are estimates that 10% of our healthcare costs are directly related to this problem, and victims should be made whole to the extent possible given their situations, but extreme punitive damages should be reasonably capped. And that's the issue, cap. The result would be a reduction in defensive medicine and redundancy, Daniel, of testing and treatment, in addition to savings in malpractice insurance litigation and settlements.
You hit the nail on the head once more, Armstrong. For example, you talk about defensive medicine. Well, if a doctor's afraid that they could get sued, then they're going to order every conceivable test that they could think of to protect themselves. And everyone agrees. Obama administration, the insurance companies, the hospitals themselves agree that unnecessary tests are one of the big cost factors in our expensive health care. They should only be tested on things that really would apply. Not to say that if a doctor on his own said, well, I know I don't need this test, but I'm suspicious, let me order the test. So that's one of the things. But they would do it because they diagnosed it, not because they're defending themselves. You're absolutely right. The premium on health for insurance for these doctors, for example, as the medical malpractice insurance, it's not uncommon to have a doctor paying $60,000 to $90,000 a year, and now you can have a doctor earning $200,000 before his office expense and his nurses and everything else, and they're taking home a lot less money than you think they would, and whether they should or not. But that adds money to the cost, that's for sure.
What about the issue of the limited supply of healthcare personnel, which will naturally tend to increase the price of services, except for when costs are kept lower by controls and rationing, and we don't want to introduce the access problems and rationing that these limitations would likely lead to.
And the limitations are like a double-barreled shotgun. On one hand, they're going to pay the doctors so little money, they're trying to cut their pay 30%, 50%, so that bullet is going to go off. And then on the other hand, there are going to be less new people wanting to go into the medical field, so we're going to have less doctors. It's estimated we're going to have a shortage of 100,000 physicians, family physicians, in about 7 years. Now, AMAC has a plan, the Association of Mature American Citizens that you're kind enough to have on your show. We have a plan to have drugstore clinics as part of whatever replaces Obamacare, where people will be able to go to a local neighborhood drugstore, see a nurse practitioner for a copay of about $5 and get treatment for basic medical care such as flus, ear infections, cuts and bruises, and things of that nature.
There's so many aspects to this healthcare debate, and we're trying to cover many of. What about using these existing bureaucracies, the IRS, through changes to the tax code and insurance regulators? Regulators would be moved from the states to the federal level. And what about foregoing the enormous new bureaucratic costs implicit in Obamacare establishment? I mean, you're talking about tens of thousands of added governmental employees.
Which is ridiculous. And, every single state has an insurance department, and all they have to do is make the laws apply to the states. So the states, as they do with many other things, environmental things and other laws, where they share the information. Why have a duplicate bureaucracy when we already have one in each state? So you're absolutely right. And the idea of appointing 16,000 more IRS agents to check up on employers and to check up on people and to look at our bank accounts is totally ridiculous.
Why is it that we don't talk? And I'd really like for you to go into detail, talking more about preventative care and wellness programs.
And how about a discount for people who take advantage of those? Like if you take a driver's education course for your car insurance, you get 10% off. How about if you follow a health course and you lose some weight, or you make sure you take vitamins, or whatever the regimen is that you and your doctor prescribe? How about you get a discount on your health insurance? There's so many things that and by the way, will save lives and reduce medical costs. But there's so many things, common sense solutions, Armstrong, that you have brought up time and time again. And I think I give you a lot of credit, because people just should listen to you. And thanks for having us on the program to share our ideas. Without talk radio, we'd be in deep trouble.
But you know what? And we have to admit that while saving costs is important, we should also remember that sometimes high costs are the result of high quality and innovation rather than excess volume and inefficiency. And so demonstrably higher quality does not cost more than mediocre or inferior care. And as we try to reform our healthcare system in the right way, don't you think we need to remember to throw out the bathwater but keep the baby?
That's right. We've got to balance it. You know, Liam Neeson's wife, who died of a brain injury while skiing in Canada, that Canadian hospital, because they rationed, did not have an MRI machine. Had they had the machine, she more than likely would have been saved. So you're right. Some of the high cost is because of higher quality. But again, it gets back to a balance. Let's make sure we keep the high quality and not just say we're going to cut costs, and ration. That's the wrong answer.
You know, I want to distinguish yourself. Talk about your organization and distinguish it from AARP.
Well, we're totally different. First of all, we poll our members. Our members said they didn't want Obamacare overwhelmingly. AARP never polled their members, or they would have found out their members didn't want it either. And then the other thing is the old-fashioned American values. You know, AARP had given Harry Belafonte the Humanitarian of the Year award right about the time he came back from Chavez in Venezuela, where Belafonte called the United States the biggest terrorist nation in the world, and yet AARP gave him an award. So we at AMAC believe in the old-fashioned American values, and we'll truly represent Americans 50 years of age and older. And Armstrong, you always let me give a plug. If they could go on our website, www.amac.us, not .com, but amac.us, we can use the members. We got 300,000. We're striving for 1 million.
How do we reduce the first dollar coverage, which will save insurance costs overall? And if these costs are covered, let's say by an insurance policy, insurance companies will certainly pay them, but not without adding a profit margin for the service.
There's several solutions to that. You know, you brought up one, for example. You brought up tort reform. If let's say it wouldn't save 10%, but let's say it saved 4%. And then we have these drugstore clinics that save 3%. Instead of going to an emergency room, you go to a drugstore for $60 instead of $250. And then you always have to make people pay a little bit of money. But if you add up all of these cost-saving ideas, which really are free enterprise ideas, when you come right down to it, they add up to a huge savings. And let the doctors innovate. Don't restrict the doctors. The doctors they know better what's best for the patients than a government bureaucrat. That alone will keep the cost of medical care down. Free the doctors so they can practice medicine.
You know, I know we talked about the state boundaries, and I just wanted to elaborate on that in a little more, elaborate in the minute that we have left. You know, the elimination of these state boundaries competition would also lead to the elimination of 50 state insurance regulatory agencies and consolidation of that function at the federal level, which is a good thing.
Well, the way we'd like to see them do it, Armstrong, is not have a new federal bureaucracy, but do what they do with a lot of other things. They already have an existing framework. They have the National Association of Insurance Commissioners. They all have bureaucrats on staff. They're all being paid for now. Without hiring a single person, you simply create uniform rules and regulations for all the states, such as covering pre-existing conditions, such as letting people compete across state lines. Those things could be done with a signature on a pen without any money, no hiring tens of thousands of bureaucrats. That's the way AMAC would like to handle that. But you brought up, that's a good suggestion.
Your webpage address again?
www.amac.us.
It's always a pleasure talking to you, and thank you so much for what you do, and especially for your time today.
Thank you, Armstrong.
We also want to thank our earlier guest, Clarence Page. We really implore our listeners to go out and read for yourself. Do your research. Just don't take the word for these politicians. I don't care if they're on the left or the right. Even if you share your value system, do your homework, do it well, and make an intelligent decision. That is why our founders wanted an educated electorate. And you guys are educated. You can tell when you're being hoodwinked, and you know when something's right. The president is not wrong all the time, and he's not right all the time. The Republicans are not right all the time. They're not wrong all the time. We have to enforce responsibility and accountability with these politicians. Visit our website, Armstrong Williams, www.rightsidewire.com. You can email us at info@rightsidewire.com, and we always stream at www.lightsidewire.com. livestream.com/Armstrong Williams. We truly appreciate our listeners, the feedback that we receive. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for listening. I'm Armstrong Williams, and enjoy what is left of your day.
For more information on the Armstrong Williams Show, please visit our new website at www.rightsidewire.com. There you can find his syndicated column archive, view live streams, and get your favorite conservative pundits' views on the current issues affecting the American people. From building wealth to foreign policy, stay connected with Armstrong Williams and his colleagues at the all-new www.rightsidewire.com.
That has a rank is fighting back, isn't it?
Join the millions of Americans who pursue one of our country's finest traditions, from hunting to sport shooting. Since 1871, the NRA has grown as a service organization involved in all aspects of shooting sports and is a proud defender of the Bill of Rights. Join today to begin taking advantage of exclusive membership offers and discounts, including up to $25,000 in insurance coverage. Contact the NRA today. Call 1-800-672-3888 or visit nra.org.
Hello, my name is Ron Moulton. I'm running as a Republican for the City Council in the nation's capital, a political arena dominated by the Democratic Party. I'm seeking office in Ward 7, overwhelmed by unemployment and poverty. For the first time in decades, we have an opportunity to be elected as the people that need the representation the most are now responding to the principles that will uplift them. For more information about my values and to donate, please visit www.ronmoulton.com.
Most Americans simply have never been taught the basics of money management, let alone how to secure their financial future. But there is hope. Financial Education and Literacy Advisors, also known as FELA, does what others don't. FELA teaches financial education. If you'd like more information about providing a financial wellness program for your employees, or a credit-bearing college course in personal finance, or other valuable programs, please visit myfela.com. That's myfela.com, or send an email to info@myfela.com.
To travelers along the road of life who have fallen asleep at the wheel, to the many who woke up in time to avert disaster and get back on the righteous path. For the ones who crashed and survived and now adhere vigilantly to a virtuous and righteous path. Finally, Armstrong Williams' much-anticipated new book, Reawakening Virtues, gives his insights into these daily challenges and much more. Reawakening Virtues is available in bookstores and at Amazon.com.
Does your school, team, church, or charity need a new fundraiser? Do you need to work out of your home or part-time? Are you a small business that can use an additional revenue stream? Then you need Yellow Llama. Do you need affordable web services or tools to enhance your existing business? Are you a graphic artist who wants to create a revenue stream with your art but not get ripped off? Then go to www.yellowllama.com.
Good God! I got to ask you what we need. Soul food. Henry Soul Food. No, we need it. Soul Food. Henry Soul Food. No, I like it. Soul Food. Henry Soul Food. No, we need it. Soul Food. Henry Soul Food. Hit me.
Home of the sweet potato pie. Even the keenest taste buds will tell you the best food on the planet. Large enough to serve you and small enough to know you. So get the Henrys at 5431 Indian Head Highway, Oxon Hill, Maryland, or give us a call at 301-749-6856.
Soul food. Henry Soul Food. What we need. Soul food. Henry Soul Food.
I dare you to listen.
and turn it up. Hey, Armstrong, get on the right side. Armstrong, elevate your mind. Armstrong, I'm Armstrong Williams on the right side. Armstrong, yo man, it's your boy KO. And you're tuned into the most conservative of our brothers.